Welcome to Dread Vault. In this video, we will compare an actual EVH 5150 with its three different plugin alternatives. If you're a regular viewer, you probably knew we are working on a new EP with my band Death Roll and we are on the verge of completion. But there's another thing about my country, which is Turkey. In these days, we are not living the best days of our lives. Actually, we are not living the best days of our lives maybe over 2 decades. Since I don't want to dive into politics in this channel, I won't go into details. Also, I'm not the right place to explain the whole situation. If you are curious, you can check it online, but simply because of the current situation, we are worrying about our future, our rights, our democracy, our justice system. And in an atmosphere like this, doing something with joy or enthusiasm is impossible, at least for me. Because of it, today I don't want to shoot a review video. Instead of it, I will try to give an answer to a question which is on my mind for quite some time. And I think it's a nice time because I also have some real drums and bass and DI tracks of the reamped guitar tracks because of our latest EP. So today I will compare my old tube EVH 5150 Stealth EL343, it's a quite long name, with 3 different plugins. The plugins are STL Tonality, Amped Roots, and the Neural DSP Archetype Gojira. And you can say how you can compare a plugin with an actual amplifier while there's a cabinet. Well, during our reamping session, we used Countryman Type 85 between our amplifier and the cabinet, and this signal chain allowed us to record the sound of the amplifier itself. And also, obviously, I used my custom built AVE Guitars Rat V, which has a Seymour Duncan JB and Corina Body Maple Neck Ebony Fretboard 25.5 inch scale. Also, beside this guitar, we used a Maxon OD808 just before the amplifier. And in this comparison, I will use the exact settings of my actual amplifier on the plugins to observe their characteristic differences, because simply I'm expecting a similar response from a plugin. If I'm looking for a certain sound and if I know how to dial up an actual amplifier to get that certain sound, I should be able to get a similar sound from the plugin as well. If I need to crank it up or lower it too much, it's not working that well, at least for me. So in this comparison, I use the same settings on each of every item, and I use the plugins as head amplifiers, and I use the boosters of those plugins, the same impulse responses on each of every track. And you will hear the audio without any mix, but those impulse responses are quite mix ready with some EQ touch and console flavor. So first, let's hear the guitar tracks with drums and bass, and then we will hear them as isolated. Welcome back. Now let's continue with the isolated tracks. Welcome back, hope you enjoyed the comparison. I think there is nothing much to talk. I know there are certain differences, but also we need to remember this amplifier costs around 2.5 grand, while the plugins are maybe 20, 50 or 100 euros. Also those plugins contain some cabinets and microphones and boosters, FX units, etc. But also for my ears, the actual amplifier sounds way more musical, more organic, and also it sounds way wider compared to the plugins. You know, when I'm listening to EVH, it sounds like this, but when it comes to the plugins, it feels like this. You know, it's narrow, it's tight in a bad way. I'm not mentioning the tight sound, but at the end of the day, if your first aim is to release something, create something, publish something, you can go with the plugins. This stuff sounds good enough, and with some additional tights, additional mix and mastering magic, you can get even closer results. But also, if your main concern is the production quality, if you are at that level, I think you need to give it a go to the all tube amplifiers with a similar approach on drums and bass. At the end of the day, you will get something quite different, something with more organic and musical texture. So for me, I'm not an all tube amplifier elitist. I'm in love with the plugins and I'm using them most of the time. I'm using it for rehearsals, I'm using them for demo tracks, but at the end of the day, I will use an all tube amplifier for the final product whenever I can. And that's the end of the video. Hope you enjoyed the comparison, and if you want more content like this, please don't forget to mention it in the comment section. Also, please don't forget to like the video and subscribe the channel. Till the next video, see ya.